I was taught as a kid that Social Security is something that got put in place to help make sure that people wouldn't mismanage their own personal retirement, and that we'd be, every paycheck you'd see that you're making a deposit, your employer's making a deposit, and every year they send you a summary that says this is the value that's building up. If you retired today or at the age of 62 or 65, this is what you'd reclaim. And then we've been hearing that those funds have been mismanaged by the government after all, and they aren't there. Is this another example of you thought you put your money somewhere safe and it got robbed out the back door?
Well, of course. And, there's a certain point where the people themselves are responsible for this. Anybody with a brain in their head should have known from the very beginning that Social Security, Medicare, all of these other programs, that these were Ponzi schemes. These were just flat-out Ponzi schemes, put in place by Marxists like FDR, voted in happily by the first generation of people who, as with any Ponzi scheme, the first generation in, those are the only people who actually benefit from it because they get payout on it without ever having to pay anything into it. And this is actually a criticism, and this is very politically incorrect to do, but this is a criticism of the so-called greatest generation, the World War II generation. The World War II generation, for all of the sacrifices that they did in fact make in the Second World War, those are the people, and let's be honest, also World War I veterans as well, those are the people who installed this Ponzi scheme and they were the ones who reaped the benefit of it because they got the payout on it in their old age and they had never paid into it in their youth. Textbook Ponzi scheme. Yes, Social Security is a complete scam, a complete fraud. And again, at some point, people have to take personal responsibility for this. It has been clear for many decades that the people who are populating the government, most especially the upper echelons of the federal government in the United States, are, by and large, a cadre of psychopaths and whores. And so if you willingly have turned your savings over to these people, if you have willingly bought into this line that a cadre of psychopaths and whores, many of whom do not have the brains God gave a goldfish and couldn't think their way out of a wet paper sack, if you voluntarily allow your wage to be confiscated and turned over to these people under the premise that they know best and they can manage my life and my retirement and my savings better than I can, there's a certain point where, you know what, you deserve what you get. You will reap what you have sown. And turning your life over to these people who it's very, very clear, and like I said, it's been clear for decades, these people are not right. These are not good people. These people do not have the best interests of the people that they are allegedly representing in mind. These people are in government to personally enrich themselves and to satisfy their personal lust for power over other human beings. You people have voluntarily cooperated in this. And so now Social Security, in order to be psychologically healthy and not be just utterly consumed with rage, my advice to people, and this also goes to some extent for 401k accounts that you simply cannot get your hands on. Psychologically, you just need to come to grips with the fact that money was stolen from you. It was never yours. You never had it to begin with. It's all a lie. You fell for a con. You allowed to perpetuate these Ponzi schemes and these cons and just write it off. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
And furthermore, as long as your primary or sole source of family income is from a W-2 type job, then it's going to continue to be, what does it total up to between employer's share, employee's share, and Medicare? It's up like over 16, 17, 18% of your pay that's going off into that direction, never to be seen again.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get away from it if you're, like you said, if you're still in a W-2 type of a position. The one thing you can do in terms of the income tax is you can kick up you can maximize the number of dependents, which means reducing your withholding to zero or almost zero, and then not file. And you know my position. I declared a tax strike years ago. I formally declared a tax strike after MF Global, because at that point it was just, between MF Global and then right fast on the heels of MF Global is when the Obamacare mandate, they started explicitly telling people that you will be paying for abortions through Obamacare. They weren't even trying to be coy about it anymore. You will pay a $1 a month surcharge on your insurance policy, which is mandatory that you purchase. And every person who has an insurance policy in the United States, which everyone must as a consequence of their waking up breathing, it will pay for abortion. So I had two events in close succession, MF Global and then this business about paying for abortions. At that point, it became crystal clear to me that I could no longer in good conscience pay into this. Now, granted, I was self-employed, so that opened up, it made it a lot easier for me. But the only way this works is if this is coupled with a strike and people just stop filing. Force them to come after everyone, or at least millions and millions and millions of people. I mean, this business of just standing by and watching, and even in a sense cooperating with this, to my mind, it's just morally untenable. It's morally unjustifiable. It's clear what the situation is. It's clear that the U.S. has been overthrown. It's clear that this regime is just overtly satanic. And I know it's scary and it's intimidating, but again, we've brought this on ourselves. So you can't expect that you're going to get out of this without feeling some pain and exposing yourself to potential pain. The only thing I can say is having faith in God really, really helps all of that. But that's probably a conversation for another episode.